Hey, what's going on, guys? Here's another cool color grading tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be doing the very first steps in order to achieve a very interesting blockbuster look teal and orange. This tutorial is not specifically dedicated for teal and orange look because I'm going to break it down in the future tutorials more specifically, the things you need to have in order to achieve that look as far as cinematography and the color grading and all that. But let's call this tutorial as a baby steps in achieving really cool cinematic look, okay? This tutorial footage is provided by Matthew Scott. Thank you so much, Matthew. I'm going to provide the link to his website below, and definitely check him out. He makes amazing cinematography and color tutorials, and his footage is absolutely stunning. Okay, and for our tutorial, I'm going to be using some of the files from Born Legacy, and as you can see, it's pretty much straight on teal and orange. Classic example. And the footage I'm going to be using today was shot on red camera, so we're going to be working with the RAW. How cool is that? So let's get going. The one thing, and as I mentioned, the one thing that I want to tell you a little bit right now about baby steps is I just want to point out to you guys that a teal and orange look pretty much happens in the very bottom of the midtones and almost like in the shadows. And I'm going to show you exactly by using the false color, that way you can visually see it instead of looking over here at all the crazy stuff. Let me apply it over here really quick. As we can see, based on color, everything in this picture is dark besides his face and the window over there a little bit. Okay, let me grab still. Let's go to this image. We're gonna see the same pattern. Everything is dark, just the clouds and the snow in the mountains is bright, and everything else is dark, even though it's a day shot. We're gonna see the same pattern over here, absolutely same. Face is lit, and everything else is the bottom midtones. So there's a reason for that, and in the future tutorials I'm gonna cover specifically why and what you need to do in order to achieve that look. So let's get started. As my usual workflow, I'm gonna be denoising in my very first node. Okay, denoise. Let me zoom in and let's check it out, what is going on. Lots of noise, kind of typical for red cameras. Let's see, let's put 2 in 10. Not too bad though. The older model had way more noise than this. Okay, so we have a footage of a guy going down with a shotgun, all bloody, probably just killed somebody, zombie, whatever it could be. So let's create another node that looks really cool, and let's take a look at our saturation. As we can see, our saturation is not too saturated. It's a little bit. Let's compare it to the actual shot. The actual teal and orange is way saturated than what we have, so let's increase a little bit saturation on our shot. Okay, individual channels, RGB, and let's take a look what that looks like. I guess a little bit too much to my taste, so we're gonna go to this panel, to the key panel, and we can dial it down just a little bit. I'd say 700 should be good. Okay, so that's another cool step, and I'm gonna label this saturation. Okay, saturation. Let's create another node, and this node I'm gonna call white balance. A proper white balance is the key to every single grade. Make sure you always start your grading with a proper white balance. Okay, it's very important. So let's go over here and let's switch to waveform. And as you can see, to kind of simplify it, in order to achieve a proper white balance, you want all these channels to align in one. So if we're gonna dial it back, we're gonna see pretty much that would be sweet spot of this shot. So let's check it out. Before and after. Before and after. We sort of took out a little bit of blue from the stairs. That's about it. Anyways, let's create a new node, and we're actually going to convert it into a parallel node. Okay, so in this parallel node, my first node going to be exposure, and my second node going to be look. Okay, and immediately I'm gonna create a LUT in the end, and I'm gonna call this LUT, where is it, film looks. Okay, I'm gonna call this film look. All right, so let's go to our exposure, and let me make this thing smaller a little bit so it's not on my way. Okay, and over here I'm just gonna do a simple curve. I'm gonna bring down highlights a little bit because I don't like clipped highlights, and I'm going to increase the shadows just like that. So let's check it out, the shot before and after, before and after. That's already by itself looking really cool and actually cinematic. Let's take a look. Yeah, that looks really good. So let's start dialing our look. Well, in order to make look teal, we pretty much want to be working in the green and blue channels if we want to replicate something like this. So let's try it over here, okay? And by the way, just so you guys can see, let me turn on the false color plugin just for a second. That way you can see what's going on in terms of exposure. Okay, we pretty much, we're somewhere in this area. Let's see, in this one, we're pretty much very same exposure area. So that's pretty cool. It's gonna help to achieve our look even better. Okay, so let's go to the look. I'm gonna be over here. You can work in the primary wheels, you can work in the log, which I'm gonna actually cover in my future tutorials because there's a few things you need to know about it. But I like working in the primary bars. To me, it's a little bit easier dialing the look like that instead of, you know, steering the pot with the wheels. Okay, so let's see. Let's try to dial the look from the midtones. So let me increase a little bit of green and a little bit of blue. Okay, that already looks really cool. Alright, let's check it out. Let's compare this and that. That looks very nice. I actually really like it. Okay, so let's keep this thing for now. I'm going to create another node, another parallel node, and in this parallel node I'm gonna do a mask, and you're gonna see what's gonna happen right now. So I'm gonna go into mask and I'm gonna create my custom curves, and I'm just gonna do mask just like this. Okay, and the guy is moving, and for the sake of tutorial I don't want to spend too much time manually adjusting the mask, but I'm going to show you how to do this. Basically, when you're in the clip and when you're tracking, it's automatic tracking, but if you want to track your mask manually, you have to click on the frame, and basically each time you're going to be moving your mask, it's going to be creating automatic keyframe. If you want to create a manual keyframe, you just have to click right over here on this little key. So let's start doing this, okay? Alright, I'm going to be doing sloppy job obviously for the sake of tutorial, okay? So let's see, let's move this like that, this one over here. Okay, I think I by accident clicked way too off from that, but it's okay, it's gonna remember. Okay, let's go here, let's see, keep it like that. One more. Obviously, depending on the shot, you can spend a whole day doing rotoscoping or masking, but again, for the sake of tutorial, I just keep things pretty simple. Okay, see over here, no movement, but I want to create a custom key, so I'm just going to click here and it's going to create it. Okay, here we can see it start drifting a little bit, and let's go to the end. It drifted. Let's go here. Something in between looks fine, okay. So now basically we have this mask. Okay, let me feather a little bit, And let's say I want to make his surrounding darker, a little bit more dramatic. So let's invert his mask. And over here we can see in the selection. And I'm just going to add a simple S-curve. Just like that. Just like that. I think like that looks really, really cool. Okay. And let's see how that looks. See, we can see a very hard edges of the mask. So let's go back on the mask. Let's make it softer. Okay. That way nobody can ever tell what we've been doing. Alright, let's check it out now. Okay, that looks really, really good. Obviously over here there is this little arc. And again, for the sake of tutorial, I'm probably not going to touch it, but basically it's the same concept. You can just manually move this thing around and make a shape and basically track it down exactly the same way. So I'm not going to do this in this tutorial for the sake of time. Okay, so let's take a look what have we done so far. Before and after. Before and after. That looks really, really sweet, actually. And for example, let's say now I have a really, really good mask, but I need to do another mask for the inside. You know, in order to do that, I don't know if some of you guys know this or not, you can just right click, add node, and choose add outside node. And what it's going to do, it's going to create exactly the same mask but inverted. So whatever we're going to do now, only going to affect the middle. Okay? So let's give it a bit more dramatic feel. Okay, let's crank down a little midtone and let's spike the highlights tiny, tiny little bit. Okay. Alright, so let's check it out before and after. Okay? So let's see. Before and after. I think like that looks way more cinematic. That is pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you guys learned something from this, and I'll see you next time.